Okay, this is Reini from Stormbringer magazine. It's a great pleasure for us to have Dan from Disturbed here. Dan, thank you for your time, and thank you that you made it to Europe, because in the US you were forced to cancel some weeks of your tour because David suffered a throat infection. It brings me to the question, are you, and especially David, back in full force for this headlining tour now?
We are definitely in full force. I don't know if he was really forced to cancel the 2 weeks. It was just advised that, that he should get some rest. We had a big run in the U.S. and Canada, and doing 5 shows a week didn't allow him enough time to recover. So we thought it was best, let's just cancel that 2-week tour so we don't have to jeopardize anything when we came to Europe, and that we are full force and ready to go. So it's been going great so far, so loving it.
You have 5 shows, mostly in Scandinavia and in Berlin. So today in Vienna the show is fully sold out. So how are the previous shows?
Great. I mean, I know we mentioned just a couple minutes ago with you of us doing Nova Rock before. We've done it a couple times now, and I think that it probably had a big impact. Maybe that's the reason why we're sold out tonight as well. And I'm not just saying it, but Vienna is probably the most beautiful city I've ever been to. I love it here. We had a day off yesterday and got to do some sightseeing and just walking around and taking it all in, and it's just amazing here. And so I'm glad that we have fans here, because I love coming here. So, it's nice that we can come here and play the sold-out show tonight.
You mentioned we spoke at the Novorec 2008. We also did an interview when you played with Shinedown in October 2008. When you played with Shinedown, I asked you the question that you had 3 albums in a row hitting the #1 spot in the US Billboard charts. So you can guess now what I will ask you now.
4 in a row? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's overwhelming. We never even imagined that it could happen once, and I mean, if anything, and I probably said the same thing to you last time too, was, it's really the fans' voices being heard. If anything, that's what it means to me personally, that in a day and age that is dominated by pop music and hip hop, and they dominate the charts, it's nice for the hard rock and metal fans to speak up by making a statement with us in that way of showing that you can't ignore the fact that there's a place for this type of music in this world.
The cool thing, I did with David an interview in preparation of the Asylum album and asked him nearly the same question, and he answered me. He said, okay, the CD sales are decreasing, we all know that, but the cool thing on Disturbed is that your live fan base is still more and more and more. So it's not only the CDs you release, probably it must be the live action, the live shows you give the people.
Well, I hope so. I mean, that's why we do this. We love being on stage. We love performing, and we love working to gain the fans' respect. So for us to come to the city and see it grow each time we come back, we feel that we're accomplishing that. We're never going to be that type of band that goes up there and just goes through the motions and plays their songs and good night and off the stage. We like to make eye contact. We like to have a connection with the fans to see what the music is doing to them, to see how they feel and the emotion that they have in their face when they hear their favorite song, or they, just rocking out to it, whether they're singing it or headbanging or getting in a mosh pit or crowd surfing, whatever way they choose to get their release. It's just, motivating to us to see that.
Let's talk a little bit about Asylum. Surely, for me, it's a typical Disturbed album, but especially those intros, like the first track, Remnants, or the intro to Another Way to Die, you used also slightly more electronic, in my opinion, on the album. Is this for you the next logical step in the development of Disturbed?
Yeah, we really don't discuss it. We just, whatever happens naturally, whatever we're feeling at that time. And Remnants, the start of the album of being that instrumental, was the first thing I had written musically, and it was really just me picking up the guitar, just saying, okay, I want to start, we're off tour, now it's time to think about the next albums and time to start writing. And it was really just me kind of warming up. I was just kind of messing around, playing the part on an acoustic guitar, and I just recorded it real quick, and I started doing a guitar solo over it just to kind of vibe out for a bit, and it was taking on a life, and it just really kind of set up the song Asylum really nice. I thought it would build a nice anticipation of something that is a little more unexpected from us, that was going to maybe leave the fans guessing or on the edge of their seat thinking, where's this first song headed to, and Another Way to Die was that similar kind of approach too, to give maybe something a little different from us, of a slower picked out beginning, melodic, but then leading to that syncopated, disturbed, signature sound we have.
The limited edition of Asylum comes with the so-called Decade of Distortion, Disturbed DVD. Normally, a band put a documentary DVD as a separate release on the market. Can we interpret this that you put it out as a gift for all the loyal Disturbed fans and not a separate DVD release?
Not just for loyal fans. It's free for anybody who wants it. It was definitely our intentions of giving it as a gift. We thought, we're lucky and fortunate to have a career that's lasted over 10 years so far and still going strong, and we wanted to show our appreciation to the fans by giving them this gift. Instead of making it a separate item and putting a price tag on it, we thought, let's give them something more. A lot of these loyal fans were a part of the growth of this band. They've seen us from the beginning, and they've seen it when we were a club band up to an arena band, and we wanted to share that growth with them. And so even for fans now, I believe they could go to our website and they could either stream it live or they can download it for free. And we somehow, luckily, convinced the record label not to charge them for it. It was very important for us to keep it at a normal CD price, and that the documentary would be free, and thank God that they let us do that, in a day and age that record sales are plummeting and record labels are struggling. I was very pleasantly surprised that they agreed to do it without charging the fans for it.
Let's talk about the typical sound of Disturbed, because in my opinion, it's seldom enough that a band, especially you, managed this in the last year to gain this uniqueness. Normally, if you play people a Disturbed song, 15 to 20 seconds later, they say, this is Disturbed. Can you explain us why you managed to get this uniqueness in your sound?
I mean, we're lucky that we've developed a sound sonically that is an identity that we now have, and I think just the way everybody plays in the band stylistically, when we bring it all together, we've created that signature sound. And David, vocally, it's his voice. It's a trademark. It's very. It's okay. It's okay. There you go. It's very syncopated and rhythmic and melodic, and I think a problem that a lot of new young bands have when they first come out is they try to sound too much like their heroes, and they want to it's good to be influenced by other bands, but you still should sound like yourself. You should still try to create your own identity, and I'm just personally a bigger fan of bands that have been able to do that. That are just unique like that.
You said the influences, because on Asylum there are some classic metal parts on it. What made me wonder, who are those influences, if there are any, and do they differ in your opinion when you compare it to Indestructible or the 10,000 Fists?
The influencers have always been the same for us. We're classic metal fans, so from Sabbath, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, early Pantera and Metallica, a band like Queensryche. They were a big influence on me as well too. And all those bands to us are the guitar riff driven bands with double bass drumming, with powerful vocalists. Every band I named, those singers were some of the biggest voices in metal, that were all very melodic and just power behind it, so I think that we have similar ingredients, in this band. David has a powerful voice. It's melodic, and he's making a statement when he's singing, and those bands have always been the influence behind us. But at this point, I think That it's because those are the bands that we learned, from that when we started playing. But now we inspire each other, as a band. I'm looking to write a riff that's going to get the other guys excited. That's going to lead into the next song, So we're pushing each other to try to inspire each other.
You said you started as an underground band in 1996. Before that, or in times where you were, let's call it underground, were there any really, really bad jobs you had to do to earn your living?
Every job's a bad job if you don't love what you do, I mean, if you love making hamburgers and then great, then you have a great job. Everything we did was just a way to fund our equipment. We worked. I was a carpenter building houses. And that to me, it's a career job for most people. I was probably the one guy there that I only did it to make money to buy my next guitar or my next amp, and to afford us the ability to eventually quit our jobs so that we could focus on the band 24 hours a day. We were a working machine. Every guy in this band is dedicated, and that's the way it's got to be. I think you can't be in a band where there's one guy that just is, lazy. You have to want it. You have to work, and you have to be willing to work for it.
Do you know of cases in which your music had a great impact in the life of some people? And if so, do you have some examples for us?
Yeah, many. I mean, that's very overwhelming to meet fans and to hear stories on how our music has impacted them, and that it really hits home. It's very, it's pretty emotional to hear some of the stories that we get. Whether they're soldiers that are that have gone to war, that has been inspired, and it stripped them of their fear. Whether it's an athlete, taking the field, or somebody just working out at the gym, there's always some kind of inspiration there. We had kind of a weird experience. This was definitely a first for us, but we were in Kansas City playing a show, and some kid threw up a piece of tinfoil up on the stage, and we opened up, and there was a note in there, and there were ashes of his cremated friend. And that was really weird for us to see that. And the note, said how big of a fan his friend was, and his friend had passed away, and just wanted, he knew how important it was for his friend to have Disturbed in his life, and he wanted to share a part of that with us and have it up on stage with us. And so we didn't know what to do with it. It was such a bizarre thing that ever happened. And we actually took the ashes and we hid them in the venue, so he'll always be in a music venue anytime that his favorite bands are passing through. Maybe there's part of him there. So the venue probably doesn't know that we did that, but we hid it up in the ceiling.
Okay, the last question is a little bit a personal one. I saw Disturbed a few times live now, and sometimes I had the impression that it could help your live sound to have a second guitar on stage. You ever thought about this opportunity, or is Disturbed the guitar players then only and none else?
I've been in other local bands with two guitar players. It usually was two guitar players all the time, and I think as I left my last local band and we started forming Disturbed, once we had got David and we were just writing songs, it was just coming together well. And there's some stuff that I wouldn't mind having a second guitar player for, but I think because it came together so fast for us and we were developing our sound relatively quick, that we didn't want to change the chemistry of that. It was working, and we were 3 months into being together, we started playing shows, and we started gaining a fan base right away. And so we just kept rolling with it. It was working.
It still works. Thank you for your time, and have fun on the rest of the tour. Thank you.